And as we get our Monday rocking and rolling, we're happy to have Dan Riskin along, CTV Science and Technology Specialist. Good morning to you, Dan.
Good morning. How are you?
I am doing very well. You had a good weekend?
I had a great weekend. And you know what happened recently to me is that I was forwarded a message on a group chat that I have with my brother and my mom where they sent me this news article they saw about how not to get scammed. And it was you and Carmi. And you did just such a great job on that. But I love that it came to me organically because they don't know me from my hits with you. They don't know that I have interactions with you. They just thought it
They know
stood
you
apart
from your
because
actual
they know
relationships
me
with
for yeah,
them
they know me in other ways. They know me as a
from the
child
dinner
and
table.
all
Yeah.
that stuff. But they didn't know that I had like I was friends with you and that I do hits with you. They just thought this was a really good article. And so I love that it organically made its way to me that way. And it was really good. It was really strong. You had some good advice for people about avoiding scams. And so if people
That
are
is
listening and they
amazing.
haven't checked that out, they should definitely look for that.
Hey, appreciate the plug. Of course, Carmi is always excellent and on top of his stuff. I'm just wondering, did they send it to you, Dan, because you're kind and trusting and they're a little bit worried that you might click on the wrong thing?
My mom's not listening, so I can say this. But my brother and I send them to each other, pretending they're for each other, like and seeing my mom, like, oh, hey, Matt, have you seen this? Because this looks really important. And we knowingly include my mom in the chain so that she can read it, but we're not saying it to her, but she sees us saying it to each other, and we hope that maybe she's paying attention and says, oh
Mhm.
yeah, no, I also should do that. But we'll see.
I have occasionally said to my parents, "Did you happen to see the, story Pat Foran had on CTV last
Yeah,
night
yeah.
about the couple that lost $1 million?" Yeah, there's a lot of bad stuff out there, so
It's
the
scary. It's
yeah.
scary. And listen, I mean, I get weird links all the time, and I've not fallen yet, but I can see how it happens.
Yeah, one of the things that was interesting in one of those pieces, because we did a whole week on scams, and we talked about, of course, how vulnerable older people can be
Hmm.
because they, have only maybe recently come to living in a tech world. And if it's
Hmm.
new and tough for us, then you get a little bit older, it's even tougher. That there's actually a lot of scams that younger people were falling
Hmm.
for as well. And as we know, they are exposed to it all the time. They're on social media
Yeah.
24/7, on their phones 24/7, unless they're not. Apparently, if you pay them $150, they might be convinced to get off of social media for a week or so, and the impact was huge, Dan.
Yeah, no, I love this. So this is a 1 week detox for teenagers where they volunteered to do it and they were paid $150 and no social media for a week or try to turn it off completely for a week. And they did a good job of it. They were still allowed to use their phone, still allowed to text their friends, still allowed to have screen
So it was
time
just
watching
social media that they had to
just
shut
social
down.
media,
Okay.
TikTok, Instagram, stuff like that. And now you have to take this with a grain of salt because on the one hand, you tell a bunch of teens if you get off social media, it's going to improve your mental health. And then you pay them $150 and they
Mhm.
volunteer and then they go off social media for a week. Oh, you kind of expect that they're going to say their mental health is better because you've kind of primed them to think that way. But whether this is placebo effect or not, it worked. It worked really well. So when you look at the depression and the anxiety and the insomnia for these teens, depression went down 25%, anxiety went down 16%, and insomnia went down 15%. And so those are really strong numbers. And loneliness did not go up. And so they're still having contact with their friends. They're still able to have communications with their friends, and they're $150 richer. So this worked out for them, and I think there are two ways you can look at this. One, if you have a teen, this might be a great carrot to dangle over the holidays. And if you have a little bit of money in your pocket and you might want to dangle that, that might help. But two, I think all of us could probably benefit from taking a week off. And even though we know it's going to be good for us, and that might be part of the reason it feels like it's good for us, it's still good for us. So why
Mm.
not do it?
$150 if someone's willing to, give the parents that as well. I mean, doing it over the holidays might be the best time, right? Everyone's
Yeah.
home, and then because whenever I would complain about my kids being on their phones and being on social media so much when they were home, they would quickly point the finger right back at me and say,
Yes.
"Well, we're on there because you're not looking at us. You're on your phone."
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. No, we have a rule at our house that the phones aren't allowed at the table, period. Like you
mhm.
can't pull out a phone, even if it's like relevant to the conversation and you're just looking up. Nope. You're going to have to just follow up with that after the meal. So we have that right in our house. But the thing that we need to improve on, and maybe this should be a New Year's resolution for me, is that while my teenager who has a cell phone has to leave it downstairs when he goes to bed, I don't. I bring the phone into the room and I'm often
Mm,
like just having a quick look at a couple things before I go to bed. That's not good for me at all. It's not good for my mental health. And even even the light is not good for me. So
Yeah.
maybe that should be my New Year's resolution. We'll see if
It's
I live
hard
live
though.
up
I
to it.
mean, I keep saying that, but I do it because my kids are in other cities too, and I'm like, "What if they
Yeah.
need me? Mom
Yeah, and
has
I
to
have
be
this
there,
dream that
reachable at all hours."
CFRA is going to send me this urgent text message at 3 in the morning saying, "There's been a science breakthrough. We need you for this," and I need to make sure I'm on call for that. But
All
it
right.
hasn't happened, so we'll see.
Well, I highly recommend you make sure you're on Do Not Disturb just in case we get some ideas around here.
Mhm.
You never know at 3 a.m. All right, we wanna talk bats this morning, and I don't know if
Yeah.
this is the most positive way. I know you have gone out of your way over the years to share your love of bats and make sure that any concerns people have about them are based in science and not in myth. But what does this mean, this evidence that we're finding that common vampire bats have been exposed to the highly pathogenic H5N1 virus?
Yeah. Well, yeah, I feel like I have to be honest with people. And when the
Mhm.
bats are kind of scary in the news, I have to bring that too. And so the vampire bats feed on blood and they're parasites of things like cattle, usually, but they do sometimes feed on things like sea lions as well. And this is a study where they basically looked at the immune systems of a whole bunch of bats that they were catching in Peru. They caught some vampire bats, and lo and behold, these vampire bats didn't have the H5N1 bird flu, but they had antibodies to it, which suggests that they had been exposed to it. And that suggests that maybe because there was a big outbreak of this bird flu in sea lions. It doesn't just hurt birds, right? We worry about it for humans. It can get into other mammals, but it showed that vampire bats have been exposed to it. And so it just really drives home the point that when these diseases are present, they can jump from animal to animal, just like we saw with COVID, and that's just something to watch. And so vampire bats being part of that ecosystem gave people pause. Now it was only somewhere between 3 and 8% of the vampire bats that had these antibodies, but it was still more than zero. And so people are saying, okay, that's just one more element we need to be thinking about. But when you think about the major threats in terms of these diseases jumping to people, people usually talk about livestock, and people usually talk about, because we have these big culls of things like, chickens, or in some cases ostriches,
Mm.
to try to keep human health in mind. And that's really where the biggest threat exists.
Is that an article your brother sent you? Because we did a little bit on the ostriches on
Yeah, the ostrich story is funny. I happened to be in BC right around the time they announced they were going to cull them, and that's all anybody wanted to talk to me about was ostriches for a whole day. It was just nothing but ostriches.
the ostrich expert. When in fact you are the Batman, and will this
Indeed.
news about bats in any way impede your enjoyment of your new mug, which I saw on social media you were
Yeah, I'm
gifted?
holding it up. I'm
Just
holding it up
happens
right
to have
now.
it right there with him.
Yeah, I do.
That's so cute.
So I have this email newsletter called the Bat Signal, and people sign up for that, and I get people just send me notes and things. And this is a person who loves the Bat Signal, and she sent me this mug that she'd made, and it's got some bats on the side, and it says Dan the Batman, and it's my new favorite mug. I can't wait to have a hot drink in it.
It looks like the good kind of mug too that really keeps the hot drinks
Yeah,
hot.
yeah, 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 like the ceramic pottery one.
Yeah, exactly. I need more of those at the Christmas crafts fair, which is the craft fairs, which is a way to go, if you're home and you're chilly and you want to warm up the hands, you can wrap them around the mug. But if you have the option of slipping into a hot tub or
Mhm.
sitting in a sauna, that does the job a little better. But which one does the job the best, the hot tub or the sauna? We're going to put that question to the listeners today. We had a little chat about this earlier. I have a thought on what I think it will be, but I think
Hmm.
I might be wrong peeking ahead at this study. So what do you know?
Wait, so which one's your favorite if you have the choice between a hot tub or a sauna?
I love the hot tub. There's nothing like actually deep body warmth, getting into water that is properly hot, because if it's not quite hot enough, then you can't get back out
Then
in
it's
the
just
winter, so it's gotta be
frustrating.
really
Yeah,
hot
yeah,
too.
that's just terrible.
But I have heard that the sauna is generally healthier for you, and I would expect that it would win out, but does it in this particular case?
So in this study, they were comparing how much blood circulation changes, how much heart rate changes, and how much core body temperature goes up, and how much the immune system gets sort of stimulated by that heat. Because that's
Mm.
one of the reasons you do these things as a therapeutic thing, is that your immune system comes into play a little bit, almost like when you exercise. But when they did the measurements, the hot tub came out ahead. The hot tub raised the internal body temperature by about 1.1 degrees Celsius. And for the sauna, it was only half that much, even though the sauna feels way hotter when you're in there,
Yeah.
because you got to get out after no
Especially
time at
when they're
all.
they're flapping the, towels around and is that German ritual or
Wait,
whatever,
what?
yeah.
What's happening in
You're
your
not
in your
familiar with that?
saunas?
It's like
No, I've never been.
Aufguss or whatever,
Are they
with the
whipping each
aroma
other
and
with it
you
like
have
like
the,
like that thing?
aroma they're not supposed to aroma ice balls on the grill, and then This
Oh
is
my
like
gosh.
Lenordique here in the
Yeah,
Ottawa
okay,
area.
well,
I don't know
yeah,
what you
I'm
have in
I'm just a
Toronto.
simple
And
man,
then
I
there's an
don't.
artisan who flaps the towels and it gets really, really hot and you feel the heat in your face and a lot of people can't take it and they leave and they're like, "No, you're in here for 13 minutes. You have to stay."
Really?
Ah,
Wow. Well, they
yeah,
didn't do any of that stuff. Maybe if they'd done that, the sauna would have done better. But the hot
maybe.
tub won out. The hot tub was the clear winner for the scientific study, although really what it comes down to is what people prefer. So I'm very excited to know what people call in and let you know.
If you have both, you're in a picture perfect world. You're a little wet
Yes.
getting out of the hot tub, you go in the sauna, you dry off,
Right?
you go in, your butler serves you up a little drink,
Yeah, right. And then whips you with their towel.
brings you something in the mug. Yeah, and I'll message you at 3 a.m. about it. That's how that ends.
Okay, great. Yeah, good, good, good.
Dan, thank you very much. Appreciate it as always. We'll talk to you again soon.